So hello there everyone, this is Fantaduce here and today I'm going to be doing part 3 of What If Deku was neglected. So let's start this What If. The story starts right after where I left it off. Where Deku left the room making everyone whisper among one another because of what he did. But on the other side of the changing room where the girls are at, Uraraku started talking with the girls after Deku closed the hole and knocked Mineta out. As she asked, "Does anyone have information on the boy who spoke through the hole before closing it?" But no one had answers for a couple of minutes. But then Momo said, "I know a little bit on him. What do you need to know?" Uraka then said, "Why does he wear a blindfold and what are his powers?" As everyone looked and listened to Momo, as she said, "Izuku Gojo, Sister Izumi Midoriya," as everyone looked at Izumi, who didn't talk in a while. "Yes, Izuku Midoriya is my brother, but he didn't tell me anything about his powers. I'm just listening to learn more about him since he disappeared for 10 months with my grandfather." As Momo asked, when did he come back to town? He came back a day before the exam to get into the school, said Izumi. But then Momo said his powers are not known to anyone, not even the school. So that's why he got a VIP ID, where everyone finished getting ready and left outside. As everyone who was there already saw them and said, "Hurry up!" As Aizawa was waiting there for everyone. As he said, "Good, everyone is ready and is here." As he threw a ball towards Bakugo and said, "Here, throw it with your quirk, then throw it without your quirk." Bakugo got the same score like in the anime. So as Uraraka, so as Ida, so as Tenya, and so as everybody else. But then Deku came as Aizawa moved to the side with everyone else. "Use all your power. I better not see you holding back," yelled Aizawa as everyone looked at him confused but watched where Deku then randomly kept on smiling as he said, "Fine," as a giant orb of energy started forming around the ball. As a high amount of cursed energy went into the ball. Where Deku then threw the ball with all his strength, where a giant crater formed around him after letting the ball out of his hands. As Mr. Aizawa looked at Deku repeating the numbers on the monitor, 300, 400, 700, infinite. Deku and Ochako are tied right now for first place, as Deku suddenly dodged something coming at him and appearing behind the person who did it, thanks to his infinite ability he inherited from his family. Where Bakugo, who threw an explosion towards Deku, saw he wasn't there and started yelling, Someone like you shouldn't be able to make it." But then Mr. Aizawa spoke, "Enough, Bakugo. You're close to getting out of the school and failing my classes because of this." Where Bakugo, who was yelling at Deku, stopped, and as we then see everyone who was hyped for the test. But then Mr. Aizawa saw this and then said the most heartbreaking news to everybody. "Whoever comes last will be removed from the school and will fail the school year." Where everyone then got a shocked expression, but then managed to make a focused face to then lock in to the point where they won't fail. Where we then skip all the tests to the final part, as Aizawa admitted nobody was going to get removed or fail the class. As Aizawa said, Aizawa asked Izuku, "Who trained you?" "What do you mean, Mr. Aizawa?" "What made you this gifted? You broke a lot of school records that were held by All Might." As Deku spoke, "I trained half of my life, so I don't know." And yes, Deku has and the blindfold, that's really all. He hasn't taken it off the entire time, as Izumi was next to Bakugo wondering what exactly did her grandfather do to her brother. He doesn't look the same, he doesn't act the same, he's more, as she wants to say, cocky. Um, okay, good to know, but Izuku Midoriya is first in everything. As everyone stared at Deku as he laughed and said, "I told you all are just weak, even though you all were blessed with quirks." But then everyone looked at Deku with a confused look and said, "What do you mean we were all blessed with quirks?" "Oh, I forgot to say. I'm quirkless. Have fun being weaker than the quirkless kid." Where everyone was super annoyed but couldn't say anything, where he proved it by beating records that haven't been touched by anyone in years, not even one of the big threes. As Deku was told, with everyone to leave and get ready for tomorrow's class. But when Deku heard this, he used all his speed to move so fast that he appeared right at the exit of the school to leave home. As everyone looked at the blur, which was Deku, and then looked at Mr. Aizawa and spoke. "Are we really going to think he's quirkless?" "No, but what can I do? There is there is no information on what the kid's powers are." Couple of hours later, we see a meeting happening in UA where Nezu stared at all the teachers and said, "Ladies and gentlemen, I have brought you all here today to speak about this new kid named Izuku Midoriya, whose abilities and background are really unknown." All Might then said, "Yes, the kids from Class 1A has shown different types of powers, like one certain villain, unlike a lot of other students." But when All Might said that, Aizawa heard this but didn't say anything about it. Also showing control over all of them, which can rival the big three of the school. As a lot of teachers saw a student that strong has to be kept under watch, but Mr. Aizawa had other ideas. As they got a smile which creeped out every teacher there, and he said, "How about we make a deal?" As everyone said, as Nesu said for the teachers, "We're listening." As Aizawa then said, "We went to the sports festival to decide if we want to keep an eye on this kid. If he shows that he's doing anything villainous, we we kick him out of the. We keep an eye on him for a while, and if that theory proves right, we kick him out of the school and we send him straight to prison, or we follow him to find whoever you're looking for." All my as that as all the teachers started speaking to one another, and then Nesu, the principal, made the final choice. "All right, Mr. Aizawa, you win. We'll go with your deal. But this is my twist to the deal. If he wins the sport festival, nobody here can have him under their cannot have them under their agencies." As all the teachers said, "What? Why can he not be under my agency?" As Nesu then said, grabbing a cup of water, "Because a certain somebody who is an old friend of mine and who I owe my life to told me I cannot do that, because if his grandson is under the agency of a hero, they'll probably just use his powers to the point where he won't be of any good to the world." As everyone looked at Nesu and said, "So do you mind telling us who this friend is?" As Deku then said, "No." As Nesu said, This is the secret of all the heroes. We all have our own problems and our own backgrounds. We shouldn't be telling everything, right?" As Nesu then got up from his chair and left, all the teachers were left shocked. The next day, would just be a regular normal class day where everybody would basically just be fighting with one another, thinking, "What exactly is this?" Well, not all the teachers, but everybody, the students, would be fighting with one another until Aizawa came in speaking, saying, "Well, alright, everybody shut up and listen. Tomorrow you're gonna be training with All Might, the number one hero." As Deku sighed and said, "Oh my god, I should have stayed home." As everybody else were so hype about it, but Deku wasn't. But then after a while of talking, everybody just kept on talking about what's gonna happen tomorrow. Is everybody gonna be hyping this? Everybody's just gonna be talking and talking and talking until Aizawa said, "Alright, everybody shut up and get out of my class." But then this would be the end of the school day, whereas I would kick everybody out. So then we go to the next day where Izuku would go into school earlier than normally, as his mom let him go early. She was gonna tell him to stay home, but she couldn't stop him. As Deku arrived at UA, used the VIP access that he has, and somehow, someway, the door of UA turned into a portal to another place, which led him to basically his grandfather's territory, as he said. Alright, why am I back here? As Gojo then said, well, you are basically 1 hour early to school, so I decided to I pulled a couple of strings with an old buddy of mine in your school and got him to let me take you out of the class. As Deku then says, so you really just had it to do that for your own benefit, right? As Gojo then smiled and said, yep. Now I'll give your grandfather a hug. As Deku said, oh god, come here. As Deku gave his grandfather a hug, and then Gojo said, hollow purple. As Deku's eyes went wide open, and he then turned on infinite as fast as he could. And if you're wondering, why does Deku have infinite? Why does Deku have infinite off? And this is my answer. Infinite would be off for Deku because, first of all, he trusts his grandfather. And third of all, it's an old man. What is he gonna do? Yes, Satoru Gojo is an old man. He's really not gonna do anything to dear old Deku. But then Deku dodged it and said, what the hell, old man? What is that for? As Deku stared at his grandfather said, so you were listening to me. As the moments, every time that he paused, it would just be him taking a sip of his coffee. Where Deku then stared at his grandfather and said, what was the point of it? Well, then Gojo said, well, that test was to see if you actually listened to me, and you actually did. Well, for now that you actually managed to understand that keeping infinite is the best thing you can do, so you don't have to pull off a dumb move that I did a while ago. And the dumb move that I'm talking about is him getting stopped by freaking Toji. So then we basically go to where the hour passes. Gojo sends Izuku back to class, and everybody sees Izuku pop from the door, which was already open, but the door opened as a portal. It was just glowing. It was glowing and lotuses. As Deku popped out of nowhere in lotuses without his blindfold, as every girl stared at him, staring into his eyes, as Deku said, oh Lord have mercy, don't tell me this is gonna happen. As Aizawa said, alright Izuku, what happened to your blindfold? As Izuku said, my grandfather took it from me. As Izumi got up from the chair and said, wait, you went to grandfather's house and he lives far away from me? As Izuku said, grandfather has his ways to drag me out of places. As Bakugo got up and said, you damn nerd, don't disrespect your family. That is, Izuku said, I didn't disrespect anybody. Sit down. As Izuku then swiped his index finger and his pointer finger down, making Bakugo sit down forcefully. As Izuku then said, yeah, you never knew I had that ability, right? As Aizawa then said, alright, today I'm going to be giving you your hero costumes. And then Deku said, what do you mean hero costumes? As everybody stared at him with the shocked look and said, wait, as Aizawa then said in a tired voice, you didn't know we needed hero costumes. We all have hero costumes, right? As Deku looked at Aizawa and looked him up and down and said, you don't even look like you wear a hero costume. Let me guess. The goggles don't count, don't even say they do. As Deku said that to Aizawa, as Aizawa said, good point. Then Deku said, alright, give me a minute. As Deku then looked up, his eyes started glowing blue and the portal opened again as he went back in there. and grab some of his grandfather's clothing, which now he looks like the same character from the picture that you see on the screen. As Deku then said, "Alright, I'm back. This is my hero costume." As everybody said, "Really?" As Deku said, "Yes, I'm not that fancy." Then Deku went to his chair and let Aizawa continue. As Aizawa that was about to talk, but then All Might came in and say, "I am here." Which then All Might came in saying, "Well, hello, Class 1A. I am going to be your teacher for today, separating you all into separate teams of two and facing each other in an indoor battle trial." As Deku said, "Huh, I actually get to test my one-on-one combat with somebody." As yes, the same fights will be set for everybody. I'm not changing any fights. Every fight from the anime will be the same. Just that the power difference with this Deku, the anime Deku, would be a lot better. Then All Might said, "Well, everybody looks sad. Mr. Aizawa gave you your costumes. Where is dear Mr. Aizawa?" As everybody pointed towards the floor of his desk. As All Might saw him laying down, as he said, "Huh. All right. Follow me to the waiting room of the trial." As the battle would be Isuka Midoriya, Ochako Uraraka, Katsuki Bakugo, and Tenya Ida, I believe. Class 1A. So basically, the battle will be more solitary. So we go through some simple battles at first. The battles will be the same, but I'm gonna just add a couple of different ones. Give me a quick minute. So yeah, the first battle would be the same as in the anime. I believe it was. Let me change it. It'll be Fireboy. I don't know why I call him Fireboy. So it would be Shoto, Denki, Kirishima, and then Tokiyami against Kirishima and Tokiyami will be in the same team. Todoroki will be with Denki, and the battle will continue like that. So the battle will be the same. The hero team will be Kirishima and Tokiyami, and then the villains will be Todoroki and Denki. The battle between Todoroki and Denki would go more easier because Todoroki has a bit more confidence in his powers in this series, since Isuku has came into this world, making him the unshifted balance of this world. As yes, Todoroki ended the fight with Kirishima and Tokiyami really fast, since they didn't really know what to do. Then it was Zero and Momo versus, let me see, Mineta and I forgot Atsui. Yeah, Atsui. Mineta and Atsui. That battle, you could already see who wins. Momo and Zero, because they decided to use Zero's toilet paper as a trap. So I'm laughing so hard that I'm using toilet paper to actual trap. As All Might then announced the MVP for those two different fights. MVP for the first fight will be Todoroki for ending the fight as fast as he can to save the building. Second MVP will be Momo for using her brains to make a strategy or a tactic to manage to get rid of the villains without making any mistakes or any damage to happen. As the last battle would be Deku, Uraraka, Bakugo, and Ida. As Ida will be told by Bakugo, get the hell to protecting the damn bomb. I'll go fight that damn nerd." As Izumi's fight was gonna be happening right after her brother. You know what? Let me go to her fight. Her fight would go simpler for her since she has pyrokinesis. She can summon both fire and manipulate fire, which would basically mean which would basically mean Todoroki ain't got nothing on her. As Todoroki would be saying, "Oh great, I'm screwed if I fight her." In his head, not he will not say it out loud. He still has that same cold-hearted look as always. As Izumi's fight would be ended quick and easy, since the last couple of people that she could fight were basically Invisible Girl. I forgot her name, but give me a quick minute. I believe her name was just is the purple alien girl. I forgot her name. Oh yeah, Minna. It was Invisible Girl and Minna versus Izumi and Ojiro, which Izumi managed to safely get rid of both Minna and Invisible Girl. As Deku said, wow, she managed to get a lot better at using her quirk. As Deku was then called up with his teammate to get ready to fight. As everything went to the anime for a bit of the part, like I said, Bakugo still commanded Ida to stay with the bomb. Deku told Uraraka to go ahead because he knows Bakugo's gonna come after him. As Deku kept on walking and said, "Huh, I'm surprised he actually decided to come after me instead of waiting over there for me. Well, at least it gives her a chance to reach the bomb." As All Might heard what Deku was saying, as he then said, "What is this kid?" In his head, he was saying, "What is this kid planning?" Not worrying about Bakugo because that's his successor. He knows he's gonna win. Yeah, I'm the creator. I allow who I pick who wins. So then Bakugo and Deku meet. As Deku then said, "Oh, if it isn't the angry Pomeranian, how may I help you?" And yes, if you've seen another certain Waterford who says that a lot, you know who I'm talking about. As Bakugo then said, "I'm not a Pomeranian, you quirkless bastard. You're going to fail here and now." As Deku then said, "Oh, why don't you try? Let me go put my blindfold on." As he pulled the blindfold out of his pocket and put it on. "I can't even see you, so have fun trying." As Deku got Bakugo so mad that Bakugo activated 1 for all 5%. Yes, I'm going to give Bakugo 5% of 1 for all. I don't want to make him so OP. I know he has battle IQ. I know he has battle experience. I know he has control over his quirk, but do I need to do that right now? No. As Deku then said, "Ooh, you're throwing lightning around. That's interesting." Then Deku saw Bakugo's explosions were getting bigger. As he said, "Huh, that's new." As Deku then dodged a massive explosion that was coming out of Bakugo's gauntlets. As Deku said, "Oh God." As Deku then suddenly saw that the explosion destroyed half of the building on the lower levels that they were in. As Deku said, "Ooh, that's interesting." As Deku then dodged again and saw that it was a punch coming from Bakugo, who literally floated towards him by spamming explosions. As Deku then said, "Oh, hello there." As Deku then turned around mid-dodging and kicked Bakugo up through the stairs, up through the building, making him crash through at least 4 different floors before landing. They were on the 5th floor before landing 4 different floors. Let me see. They were on the 2nd floor. So there's 10 floors in the building. I'm about to say he basically landed on the 5th floor. He was still a couple of floors below the freaking bomb. So Ida and Uraraka couldn't really feel anything. They only saw the building shake, but they didn't worry. As Deku said, "Ooh, home run. That gotta hurt." As Bakugo got out from the ceiling of the hole and landed. As he then said, "Come fight me like a man, you damn quirkless freak." As Deku said, "Alright." As Deku jumped up into the air, then said, "Ooh, this is gonna be my favorite." As he said, "Black whip." Hold in the middle of the air with his hands in his pockets. As he said, "This is a certain pink hair's favorite technique." As we then hear Sukuna say, You actual bastard. You actually managed to use his ability. As Deku in his mind said, yeah, tell Itadori thank you for somehow letting you copy his ability. As Deku said that to Sukuna said, huh, this kid is interesting. As Deku managed to summon a black Waka floating up to Bakugo and hit him straight in the stomach. And we all know how much those black whip hurt. As Deku then grabbed Bakugo before he was sent flying again by the hair and slammed him on the floor, sending him back down to the second floor. As Deku said, ooh, I should go play golf. That was interesting. As Suguna said, you might want to save that kid before he hits one more floor. As Deku said, alright, let me go down. As he jumped and kept on falling and falling and falling and falling until he caught Bakugo and said, can I use him as a landing? As he then saw a camera and looked up at him, as he then said, hey, All Might, is this the strongest kid you have for your asserting ability? As All Might's eyes widened in his head, he then said, how does he know about One for All? And how does he know I chose him? As Deku then grabbed Bakugo, put him on his shoulders, landed without destroying the last floor that was still stable, and then jumped back up again. As he managed to instantly land on the seventh floor that they were in, as he said, so I'm in the seventh floor, eighth, ninth. I'm only 3 floors below her. Let me see something. Sukuna, as he was in his head, and Sukuna said, yeah, what happened? And which area of the floor do you think they're in? Left or right? As Sukuna said, my greatest guess would be left. As Deku said, alright, let me go right then so I can somehow jump scare them. As Deku jumped, pushing through all the buildings. As All Might then said, that kid, this is All Might in his head. My own successor did so much damage. He destroyed the building, and I could also blame that kid. He also destroyed the building by kicking my successor through all those floors. As All Might just kept quiet the entire time, but just in his head he was repeating those words. As we see Deku still bursting through all the floors, but when he managed to burst through the last floor, he then instantly disappeared before bursting through it. As everyone was like, wait, what happened to him? All Might, do you see? As All Might said, what the hell is his ability? He first summoned a large amount of black power on his fist. Then he showed a great amount of super strength. And now he's showing speed. As Deku suddenly appeared right behind Ida, and he said, hey, buddy, here. As Ida turned around and caught Bakugo. As he said, he might be unconscious for 4 hours, but with the help of what's her name? Medic lady, healer lady. I don't know her name very well. Never had the need to go towards her. Never got hurt. Look at me. He got hurt, and I never did, and I never really fought him. He gave up on his own. As Deku then said that to freaking Ida. As Ida then said, you shouldn't be doing that to your own teammates. As Deku said, he's not my teammate, and you also lost. Oh, hi, Odoraka. Took you a while. As Deku smiled and grabbed the bomb and started walking towards her. We win. As Ida's jaw then dropped. As everyone was like, as everyone on the standby then suddenly said, so who is gonna explain to us how does that count? As Deku then suddenly appeared there with Uraraka, with him holding Uraraka's shoulder to teleport her, as he said, huh? What doesn't count? As everybody jumped and said, how are you here already? As Deku said, I don't know, but you might want to check these two out. As Deku had Ida, who was fine, and Bakugo, who was literally knocked us. All Might said, take him to recovery, girl, quick. As Kurishima did it and left. But then All Might looked at Deku and said, so young Midoriya. Yes, but All Might was still calling him young Midoriya even though he's not his successor, as Deku then said, yes, great #1 hero. What do you want from a quirkless kid like me? As All Might then said, you're not quirkless. You have too many abilities to be. As Deku said, but you see, these abilities, as he then summoned Reversal Red, are just imaginary. As Reversal Red then disappeared, but as Deku smiled while saying that, and then put his blindfold back on. Half of the girls were literally drooling while looking at him. When Deku went to a corner of the spectating area and sit down. As the MVPs of every fight were being announced, as the fights continued, because there was 2 groups of each, and there's a lot of students in UA. Everything went to the anime after that fight. As we then see a view of Izumi walking towards Recovery Girl's room to go check on her boyfriend. As before going into Recovery Girl, he heard Recovery Girl having a talk with All Might and Aizawa, as she said, well, Mr. Aizawa, I would like to ask you something. Who is the kid who did this damage to him, to this kid over here? As Aizawa said, his name is Izuku Midoriya. He is a first year. His powers are unknown, his abilities are unknown, his capabilities are more unknown, because we don't know how much control he has over this. The only things we know is that what his mother and sister gave us. He has been gone for 10 months. And all we know is that he trained for half of his life to be physically and mentally prepared for anything. And the 10 months that he disappeared, he was with his grandfather. As Recovery Girl asks, does the kid have white hair by any mean? As Recovery Girl stared up All Might, and as I was waiting for an answer, as Aizawa said, yes, the kid does have white hair. Does he wear a blindfold? As Recovery Girl waited for another answer, All Might and Aizawa looked at each other shocked and said, yes, he does. Do you know who his grandfather is? As Recovery Girl then suddenly went quiet and said, oh god, he's back. But isn't he supposed to be dead? As Aizawa and All Might said, Recovery Girl, tell us who is supposed to be dead. As she then stared at them and said, he might be the grandson of the strongest person known to the history. Well, the one that took the title of the strongest person known to history. As All Might said, and who is he? Satoru Gojo, one of the strongest member of the Gojo clan, and I think that grandson of his is basically right now the strongest out of the strongest in his family, because he's mixed with 2 different families, but they didn't inherit a quirk. He inherited all of his grandfather's abilities and a bonus energy, because he is also supposed to have a quirk, but he doesn't have it somehow, as I see from the damage he did to the kid over here. This looks like curse energy damage. As Aizawa said, so that's what he used. I have a question. Does curse energy sometimes have different colors depending on what you do? As Recovery Girl, who has the knowledge of this, said yes. Sometimes would be the color of the aura of the owner, or if they use certain abilities, they would just be different things. Is there any information on this great Satoru Gojo? As Gojo, who is now really old and has information on everybody, suddenly appeared behind them and said, why do you need information on me? As out of nowhere, both All Might and Aizawa kneeled down. as they say. So, what exactly do you want with me, my grandson? As Recovery Girl stared and said, so you are alive, old fart. As Deku said, no, as Gojo said, yeah. So what exactly makes you call me an old fart? I'm still as young. I'm only 65. I changed the age of Gojo, so right now I made him at least 65. As Recovery Girl says, I'm younger than you. I'm 56. As Recovery Girl and Gojo were having an argument on who's younger. As All Might said, can you please unbind us from whatever you have us? Gojo then said, so first, what do you want? As Aizawa spoke, we just want information on the kid's powers. He seems like he could be a threat to our school. As Aizawa stared at Gojo, and Gojo then said, a threat to your school. If I wasn't a threat to history, why would he be a threat to your school? As Recovery Girl, just unbind them, Gojo. As he then stared at her and said, for an old friend, fine. As Deku was then out of nowhere brought from a portal by Gojo, as Gojo then said, here's my grandson, you can ask him anything. As Deku then said, wait, how did I was in my room laying down a couple of minutes ago, why am I here? As Gojo then said, because I decided to drag you out of your room. But then Deku looked and saw his grandfather, his teachers, and Recovery Girl. He said, hello, lady. She said, hello, child. As Deku then said, what do they need to know about me? Tell them what we were doing for the 10 months. Oh, I was training to control this guy. As Deku's hair suddenly spiked up, the marking of Sukuna started appearing, and it went a bit darker because of the mix of pink that I want to say, a mix of pink and white, so it went darker. Sukuna then spoke, hello there. As then he went back and Deku's hair fell back down. As they both said, wait a minute, what was that? As Deku said, that was Sukuna, the king of curses, or let me make it more sense for you guys. He is the strongest being right after this guy behind you guys. As this made All Might look at Gojo and says, so as All Might asked, sir, if you may answer, is that Sukuna really stronger than the great Satoru Gojo? As Gojo said, no, he's behind me, that's what he said. As Deku nodded, but what do you want to know, Mr. Aizawa? As Deku snapped, and the chains the freaking power that was holding Mr. Aizawa and All Might down broke. As they said, what exactly? As Aizawa was stretching his body, as he said in a lazy tone, do you mind telling me what exactly are you and how strong are you? As Deku said, I am the strongest sorcerer of today. He is the strongest sorcerer of history, meaning I'm the strongest hero of today. As All Might then says, so you're stronger than me. As Deku then nodded. Yeah, basically I could take you out without having to use any of his abilities or any of the other guy's abilities or any of my own ones that I created. As Gojo looked at his grandson and smacked him on the head and said, did you create another pair of abilities? As Deku said, I didn't mean to, I was bored. I told you not to create more abilities, but then Deku spoke, give me a break. This ability that I have is just for fun. It's not like I would just say, Domin expansion. I'm not doing the hand sign, so you cannot kill me. As Gojo nodded, alright, you're fine. I cannot say Domin expansion. Domain expansion, I forgot what it was called. As All Might Aizawa, Gojo, and the Recovery Girl all fell down on their back saying, so you created something and you forgot what it was called? As Deku said, it's a mix of Sukuna's fire ability. I can't just remember what it was called. As Sukuna in Deku's head was just laughing. Laughing so hard as Omai then says, so you're basically unstoppable? Then Deku said, no, I am the unstoppable foe. As both Gojo then smacked him on the head again, saying, that makes no sense. As Deku then said, alright, let me make it make sense. I am the unstoppable force of this world. He is more balanced. I am the unbalanced force, since I basically shifted the world's balance by living in this place and being born. My abilities weren't unlocked until I gained this guy, making Sukuna appear and then making him disappear. As Aizawa then looked and said, so because of him, you came to be. As Deku then nodded and said, yes. He came to be because of me. So Sukuna said, yes, he came to be because of me. But then we continue. Deku then looked at everyone in there and said, can I go back home, grandfather? As his grandfather said, yeah. As Gojo opened a portal, kicked his own grandson into the portal and said, see ya, and closed it. As Deku then said, this guy. And then we see Deku home in his bed once again. As Deku then said, let me continue coming up with more domain expansions in my head. As he said, we see Deku in his mindscape with Sukuna. Domain expansion. Hell's fire. Demonic solar flare. As out of nowhere, a sun appeared and Deku was standing on top of it. And then the rays of the sun would then turn into a solar flare that could be shot. Every time Deku pointed at something, it would instantly shoot a flare of fire towards them, making Sukuna's fire arrows look like child's play to these abilities, because Deku can instantly reform them, reshape them into anything he wants to attack the enemy he points at. As Deku then said, this ability is going to be useful. And this is where I'm going to be leaving it off. Thank you guys for watching. This is Fantaduous here. Get ready for my next upload tomorrow night at the same time. Goodbye, guys.